For me, Bombay has been horrible to live in ever since I first saw it. Sorry, Bombay, but it's a magic city. It just
continues to survive.
accepts and embraces everybody who goes there.
Right.
It's amazing. The original English lyrics are, you rush to bed and you rush out of bed. I wonder when you do it, or do you instead? What you do instead, I didn't mention.
So thanks, Remo, for this opportunity to be in your house. And my whole journey to this house has been, I think, for me, your song, Bombay City, did it for me. When I was growing up in the 80s, I heard that song and I ended up in Bombay. And today I'm sitting with you. This is like one of those moments when you think, no, these are the things which should happen in my life. Sitting with you is one of those moments.
Oh, wow. I'm honored to hear that. Thank you, Partha. It's a pleasure doing this. I'm really surprised that the song actually inspired you to move to Bombay, because I was calling it a crazy city and this and that.
And many, I think, ended up in Bombay. One of them wasn't me.
Yeah, you must have been the rare guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was a generation of, listening to people like Wham, Michael Jackson, Alisa Chennai, and of course you. So thanks for this opportunity. Lucky Ali, yeah.
Silk Route.
Absolutely.
They were wonderful bands, each one with original music,
yeah.
Each one with their own style.
If you had to rewrite that song today, would it change in any way?
I frankly don't think so, because many people think that Bombay has changed. Many people think that Bombay is today horrible to live in. But for me, Bombay has been horrible to live in ever since I first saw it. Sorry, Bombay, but as in there was never place for another human being. Right from the time I first went there in 1972 or something, there wasn't place for another car. And there still isn't place for another human being and another car, but still more and more human beings and cars and motorbikes keep pouring in. It's a magic city. It just accepts and embraces everybody who goes there.
Right.
It's amazing.
But you still kind of decided to go there, right? Despite the fact you had a band.
I had to go there. I don't know why. I had this obsession with being an architect. So there was no architect, college in Goa.
So Goa College of Architecture had not started?
No.
Okay.
So I had to go to Bombay, and halfway through architecture I decided, what am I doing? I realized, what am I doing studying architecture? And plus it wasn't all that I thought it would be, because I loved drawing and I loved design, and architecture seemed more of, at least our professors made it seem more of a regimentary thing.
But you still completed architecture, right?
I completed it, yes. Right, I completed it on my father's advice.
Yeah.
It was very wise advice, because, when I finished my third year, I told him that, so I've seen clearly, I'm not going to work as an architect, I'm going to work as a musician. I don't care if there isn't a lot of money in music, and at that time there wasn't actually. But I've seen clearly, this is what I want to do, so I'm going to leave architecture, it's a waste of time. My father gave me very wise advice. He said, listen son, you've already finished 3 years, there's only 2 to go. I would advise you finish your course and then you go headlong into music. Because if you drop out now, and if music doesn't work out for some, for some reason, you'll always feel like a failure. Mm-hmm. You'll always feel like a dropout.
Right, there's something to fall back upon at least.
Yeah, there's something to fall back upon, and plus something for your own self-confidence. You have not dropped out, you have not finished something halfway, you have completed it. So I'm really glad I completed it, although I didn't have my heart in it anymore. Completed it, and then I went into music.
Right. This whole father's advice that you spoke about, I think we've been brought up in a generation where we've been largely guided by our parents' advice on what to do with our careers. Yeah. And one big advice was that, you need to get good education in India, good job, good life, fancy cars. But somehow that dream seems to be failing in India. Do you think it's been a lie for us in India? That a lot of people are finding solace in doing something on their own today, as in this current generation?
I think if the advice was for material things, like you said, a good job and a good car, a fancy car, then I think the advice is a failure anywhere in the world. Right? In America, they started realizing that it was not the ultimate key to happiness. And in Europe, and that gave rise to hippism and to spiritual search. yoga, this, that, and so I think that kind of advice is not true anywhere in the world, whether in Bombay or elsewhere. In India, maybe because the country is poor, maybe we do have more importance on material things. Financial stability is more important to us than it is in the West, because we are a poorer country, and in my case, I must tell you that the key word is that my father gave me advice and not an order.
True.
If he had given me an order, I would have rebelled.
Right.
I was the type who would have rebelled. I would have left Bombay, and I would have just chucked up architecture. But because it was advice, I saw the wisdom in his advice, and I completed the course.
As a father, are you any different from your father?
No, I try to be the same, and we always try to be better. At least I think I'm a good father. I hope my sons think so too. I've never given them an order, especially not as far as their careers are concerned. Their careers, their girlfriends, their choice of partner in life, the choice of profession. I've never given them orders about that.
Right.
Advice, yes, a lot of advice. But one thing that I'm very happy about and proud of, if I may say so, is that my second son is absolutely passionate about nature and about fighting this menace of plastic, which is destroying and has destroyed half the world already, and it's on its way to destroy the other half. And he has opened what in the West everybody knows is a zero waste store. It's arguably the first zero waste store in India, but that's not the important point. First or second or third, doesn't matter. But each one of them has chosen other professions other than music.
Speaks a lot actually about your brand of fatherhood. Yeah.
And about their brand of sonhood also.
Individuality. Yeah. I understand what you mean by advice. I guess it is always not about some kind of direction from your parents, but also I guess the kind of environment you are brought up in. Probably your sons were brought up in a very musical environment.
Yes.
And I guess the sights and sounds of a place does make a big difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
The whole environment
but
that you're
it's not only the pleasant sounds which inspire music, I feel. The noises and the stress and the rush of a city has inspired a lot of amazing music as well, like very mechanized music, electronic, techno, stuff like that, aggressive music.
Yeah,
it's come out from the life of a city.
Yeah,
and it's not bad. It's expressing, expressing that.
Right.
But when I hear techno in Goa, I can't understand why that daughter of the city is brought here and pushed down our throats. I don't think even the foreigners who come here really enjoy it every day. But in Goan beach shacks, that's all that's played from morning till night. On a beach shack with a peaceful beach in front of you, the sea, coconut trees. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I remember your song Graham Bell, and if you see the phones in Panjim City, you jump into a well. And you look at how things are today, in terms of
Unfortunately,
connectivity.
My song is irrelevant. I can't sing it anymore. The phones in Goa, in India, are fantastic. And of course, then the cell phones came, and they ran that song out of business. But I remember those times. I live in Seolim in Goa. I had to send somebody all the way to Mapsa to make a call to Panjim.
Right.
And from Mapsa, it was a trunk call to Panjim.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're just 10 kilometers away. Had to wait for half an hour or 1 hour. Whereas going to Panjim would take 15 minutes.
Yeah. So that's why I think you said in that song that if you go to Madras, you will reach earlier than making a call.
Than making a call, exactly. Exactly. You remember the lyrics?
I remember the lyrics, These two songs, But this whole telephone culture, in fact, I wrote a book called Smartphones Dumb People about 4 years back. This whole culture of, being constantly on the phone.
Oh, it's an addiction.
Yeah, it's an addiction,
I suffer from it, so I know. Sometimes I check the phone every 5 minutes, knowing that it has not rung, there has not been a ping, and I still take out my phone, to look at Facebook, to look at WhatsApp. That's an addiction.
We spoke about Bombay earlier, and then you lived there for about 5 years, I guess. You completed architecture.
There for 5 years.
But this whole dream of a good job, and a big house never kind of lured you into staying back in Bombay in the
Not
corporate
really.
life?
Oh yeah, to live in Bombay was out of the question. I would never live there. Even later, when I decided to go into music, Bombay is still the capital of showbiz, but it never tempted me to move there. That no. Simple things like pure air and closeness to nature was more important to me. Has always been, will always be, than a professional move. Just for my profession, I would never move to a city like Bombay.
Right.
And so I moved back to Goa. I started my music here. I bought myself a 4-track tape recorder where I recorded my first album. I took my scooter and I distributed it to different shops.
Wow.
And as luck or providence would have it, 2 very important people in my life picked up that cassette. One was Shyam Benegal, who heard it and asked me to do the music for Trikal. And the other one was Gul Anand, who heard it and asked me to do the music for Jalwa. So in both these films, took me elsewhere.
Right, yeah.
But
in those days, you were actually doing it in your house, and you were.
I still do it in my house. So all my music has always been recorded at home. And,
I mean, for you, music is your life. I mean, you live, eat, and sleep music.
I guess.
And I guess different people have different kind of inspirations.
Yeah.
For you, what has been your kind of like a driving force or motivation behind taking this path, coming back from Bombay, and just headlong getting into music, when there are so many distractions when you live in a city like Bombay?
I can never remember not thinking of myself as a musician, even as a kid. I first went on stage when I was 5. Before that, I would make my parents and whoever, family, sit down in the living room. Then I would come up, and then I would come out from behind the curtains in the door and bow and sing a song and then go back. Like it was, It was inborn. There are kids. You see kids actually with this inborn. Maybe it comes from a previous life, is one explanation. But it was inborn. So right from the beginning, I saw myself as this kid who sings and plays. So it wasn't a decision later. Oh, I'm going to become a musician. No, the decision was, oh, I'm going to take music as my profession. That yes,
yeah.
But a musician, it was always my passion. To make it my profession was a later decision. That's all.
Yeah, but the kind of early songs that you wrote, which there was a lot of, I think, not really anger, but kind of protest about this way.
I would see more satire in them actually.
Satire,
early songs, like Graham Bell, the remade. There was always humor.
Right.
There was no anger.
Right.
Yet. Later on, there was anger.
Okay. Did your stay in Bombay influence your music in any way?
I know that one great influence that came out through my music was the Indianization or the Indian fusion.
Right.
Because at that time, especially in Goa, one hardly heard Indian music, or one never heard Indian music. It was mostly Western music. And going to Bombay exposed me to India in general. And you can't help hearing Indian music all over the place, all over the city, blaring through loudspeakers, either film music or spiritual music, religious music, festival music, everywhere. On the trains, as to hear these fantastic beggars, beggars who were playing in dholak beats on a can, on a tin, and some broken harmonium and singing their lungs out. I used to be fascinated with those beats. So I formed a band called Street, where I invited the street musicians to join us. We had a bass, drums, and I played the guitar and flute and sang. And I wanted these street musicians playing those dholaks and the drums with the fire that I used to hear on the trains and from the beggars. Not the classical musicians who play fantastic, but very organized. But that fire which I used to hear from them. So we found them. We found a bunch and we asked them to come over for rehearsals. And we were rehearsing at a friend's house in Bombay.
So you actually found those guys from the streets and formed a band with them? Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
But after 2 rehearsals, my friend's mother was so worried because she said that they were eyeing all the things in the house rather than when they were playing.
Yeah.
So she was really worried about that. So then we settled for proper, I'll call them proper musicians who played at festivals and at temples and stuff like that.
Right.
And we formed a band together. So that was a great influence. And after that, as you can hear, O Meri Munni and almost all my songs have some Indian touch to them. So that came from my stay in Bombay. Every place influences you, whether consciously or subconsciously. Every place.
And when you think about a place itself, your surroundings, and I'm sure Goa itself would have influenced your music tremendously.
Yes.
But when you talk about a space, we are sitting here in the open now, the sound of birds, the sights and smells of all of that.
Yeah.
Do you think it kind of influences people's performance and productivity as well?
Productivity, it influences in a negative way, Vigons are famous for being susagat, which means like laid back in an environment like this. Oh yeah, I'll record. I have a good idea for a song. The ideas are there. To implement them, I'll record it tomorrow. Right now, it's nice.
Let's enjoy today.
And cool under this bimlin tree or this chiku tree. Let me lie on the hammock for another hour. Whereas in a place like Bombay, you rush.
Yeah.
You rush and you do things. You rush to bed and you rush out of bed. I wonder when you do it, or do you instead? It's a very ambiguous question. So yes, I remember those lines.
You rush to bed and you rush out of bed. Yeah. I don't know when you do it.
I wonder when you do it, or do you instead?
Do you instead? Yes, I remember that.
What you do instead, I didn't mention.
But you don't you think this culture has come to many other cities today?
Of course.
And people are just burning out very early in their lives?
Yeah. Obviously, there are changes and progress. So things change. It's not like I'm only missing the old Goa and everything should remain as it is. That would be foolish. We all grow. Human beings grow, cities grow, villages grow. But the way we grow is very important. In India, there is no difference between rural development, the way a village should be developed, the way a smaller city like Panjim should be developed in relation to a bigger city like Bombay. We think that Panjim will be developed once it starts to look like Bombay, or once it has enough malls, enough things like that.
Right.
With this multinational. Chains of food and clothing and everything. So I'm not against development. I'm not foolish enough to think that Goa should remain as it always was. And I've travelled and I've seen how smaller places have been developed in countries which are more awakened to this. They have also had places which they have destroyed in the 60s and 70s. They have destroyed a lot and they have learned from their mistakes. And now they develop in a different way. So I feel that is what is required, Development has to be there. But let's start by developing by giving 24 hours electricity, 24 hours water, internet which never goes off. That we don't think of providing as part of progress. It's just haphazard construction, licenses to build multi-story buildings and housing complexes in villages. A village should be developed as a village. A city should be developed as a city. That is what I advocate.
Right.
And not, stay stagnant as you were forever. That's, that would be a wrong message to take from my songs.
Yeah. Or let's say modernization of an urban area itself to attract more people itself is not bad, but do it the right way.
Do it the right way.
Yeah.
Do it the right way. The way I've seen being done in so many places in the world. And the way our ministers who keep traveling abroad all the time have seen also.
Yeah.
But they don't implement it here because there's more money in giving licenses for construction rather than stopping construction.
That's another topic for another day. We can go on for one day on that topic.
Yes. Really. Corruption is a huge topic. Can I just take a moment then and switch off my phone? I forgot. Oh God, don't tell me I forgot. Okay. Okay.
But in the big...
That's my mind today. Sorry for the prank I played on you. Made you cry.